Hey, Chuck, it's been an incredibly busy week. So much going on.
Welcome
I
to
don't know where to look at this point. Things are moving so fast.
well, I was gonna say, welcome to the Trump presidency where, there's no such thing. I mean, we talked about this last week, and I don't want me to belabor this point, but we're used to in our lifetime, you and I are within shouting distance of each other age-wise. We're
Oh,
used to in our lifetime presidents being relatively quiet. I mean, like I said, they'll make a speech, they'll meet a dignitary, they'll make a proclamation, they'll petition Congress, but there might be 2 or 3 days in a row where you really don't hear that much. And this guy can't help himself, man.
if he's not in the news, he doesn't know what to do, right? I mean, and that's been a fact with him his entire life. He one time, even in his book, he mentions, or he did many books about it, mentions about the fact that if he's not on the headlines, he doesn't care if it's good or bad. He just wants to be in the headlines.
Right.
So obviously, a presidency by Donald J. Trump is a key, clear option to constantly dominate the news, no matter what. All right, look, we've spent plenty of time talking about passports, exotic places, and the best get lost.
Mostly because Jim actually got us lost half the time.
Hey, it's called unplanned exploration. But look, eventually every traveler has to hit the package. And that's usually where the fun ends and reality hits you smack in the face.
I'm Chuck Longerbeam.
And I'm Jim Howard. We're both staring 60 in the face, and we've realized that the most important journey isn't across the ocean. It's the one where you finally stop worrying about who you're offending and start speaking your truth.
We're unpacking more than just suitcases now. We're talking about the big pivots, reinventing your life and your career at an age when society thinks we should just be quiet and pick up pickleball.
Not happening, Chuck. And we're going to talk about this country. But we're done with this left versus right, blue versus red food fights. It's exhausting. We're going to talk about right versus wrong.
Basically, we're applying common sense to a world that seems to have run out of it. We're keeping it authentic, unfiltered, and knowing us, probably a little bit loud.
Hey, we're two guys who have seen enough to have an opinion, and we're finally sharing it. No filters, no labels, just real talk.
The bags are on the carousel, and let's be honest, half of them are probably lost. Are you ready to claim what's yours?
Let's get this journey started.
Right. Well, and there's a famous painting, and I can't remember who it's by. I think it's Gauguin, but don't hold me to that, where it's like a self-portrait, but he's looking into a mirror, which there's a mirror behind him. So it's like he's looking.
One of those infinity mirrors?
Sort of, but it's a famous painting. So like he's painting himself, but he can see the reflection and the reflection of the reflection. And I feel like that's Donald Trump. I mean, they said that, remember in the first term, and they got away, his first term, they got away from this terminology of his, would they call it his administrative time? And I think it was called, and everybody's like, you mean he's watching Fox News because he wants to see his name? I mean, that was the inside joke, is that he would watch Fox and OAN and Newsmax, and he would watch, and every now and again turn over to MSNBC, so he could complain about something on Twitter before.
I mean, there's been several doctors who've said that part of his health care issues come down to the fact he's not sleeping because he's so intent on watching TV, and then his diet sucks, and he doesn't let himself shut down, which, as much as I don't care for the guy, I don't like the fact that he can't find a way to give himself a chance to break and rest. Because for normal, healthy, mentally sane people, that's what you do. Right. If you don't start shutting down, then you start getting sundowners, you start getting crazy. This is why most of the folks you find doing heavy drugs are wacko, because they're up all freaking night doing drugs. They never sleep. Their brains can't process after.
Right. And I think anyone who's listened to this for 30 seconds realizes that I am not a doctor. I'm not pretending to be a doctor.
No, me either.
But I'm telling you, I've been around people who have sundowners, and boy, it feels like sundowners. Because and the reason I say that is, I mean, I hate to say this out loud, but even when he's talking, I mean, he says some crazy stuff, but he can be charming in a way when he's like, like during the daytime, like you'll see him like he'll make little asides and he'll laugh at,
he's jovial during the day. He's fun. He's actually lightweight in the day.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, he'll say things, he'll still say crazy shit, but it'll be, but the tweeting overnight, man.
Well, you mean like his speech at his peace board where he said, he's a young, handsome man. Yeah, I don't like young, handsome man. You're handsome, but we don't have to like you.
Yeah, he's like,
and it's like, okay, go there, please, because you're living your Epstein dream. I get it.
Yes. I mean, and I don't know. I just, yes, it's sad to watch a human being fall apart. It just is.
Yeah.
But then when that person holds the reins of power and has surrounded themselves with sycophants who all have their own horrible agendas, it's even harder to watch. I mean, if he were just like, if he were
If he was just Bozo, the head of the clown show, it'd be a different story.
right. I mean, if he were a sports celebrity or an actor or something like that. Well, I'll give you an example, like Bruce Willis. It breaks my heart to hear what's happening to Bruce Willis. And I don't know Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis might be the biggest asshole on the planet when he's not on camera. I don't know. But to hear that he's falling apart, and I don't Eric Dane. I don't know. Eric Dane was on. I only know this because my wife used to make me sit through Grey's Anatomy. But he died yesterday from ALS, which is very near and dear to me. My father died of ALS. And it's hard to watch somebody fall apart like that, no matter who they are. But then you give that person the reins of power, and I think we can all agree that Donald Trump doesn't have any depth of character, as in able to look at himself. So he's never going to go, maybe I'm not on my game today. Like Jim Halk wakes up certain mornings, Chuck Longerbeam wakes up certain mornings. I'm like, I'm going to make it through the day, but I am not 100%. He is never, ever going to think that. And,
Well, let's take a minute. First of all, let's stop. And I want to just recognize, if you're listening and watching us today, our numbers are growing, and we appreciate those of you who are new to this.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing a huge number of new watchers. It's just really nice to see that happening. However, we're not seeing you subscribe. And we know that's
push the button.
Hard, but just push that little button and say subscribe. It would really help us out. But thank you to all of you who are here who are new, who haven't returned, and to those of you who returned, thank you for thinking that we're sane enough and have enough self-control that we're worth coming back to listen to.
Exactly.
Neither of us has been diagnosed with sundowners yet, so we are okay.
Yes.
Well, welcome to Light in the Baggage Claim. So, one of the things I want to mention is, of course, we lost, whether you like the guy or not, we lost an amazing historical leader here in Jesse Jackson. Now, I wasn't a huge fan of Jesse Jackson when he was in the limelight, because I found him to be intolerable at times. But he did do a lot of good things. He did a lot for African-American rights. He did a lot for everybody. And he was a voice. And, it's sad. And so I want to honor the fact that we lost him this week. That's a big loss. I mean, he's old enough to you kind of know you're going to lose him, but
sure,
it's a sad state. But what really bothers me is that if they asked to lay him in state at the Capitol, which is a pretty common thing for people who make a difference in the government, and Speaker Johnson, in his infinite wisdom and ability to get on his knees and suck Donald John Trump's, was denied off ask. He's not going to let them lay in state. And that to me is such a disgrace on our government, because there's no reason to deny it. He was a good guy. He was a great politician. He did good things, whether you liked him or not. He deserves that honor, and his family deserves it.
A good friend of mine posted on Facebook, they're still, I'm paraphrasing, but they're still denying putting him in state because he's not, you fill in the blank.
Oh boy.
I mean,
birth certificate.
I mean, you've got Donald Trump, who is, pardoning, welcomed the Tate brothers back, who were fellow sex traffickers. I said it, and brought them back and all that, and gave them, invited them to the White House and everything else. But no, we can't have a prominent black leader. And I agree with you. Like him or don't like him, there is a whole generation of young black men who found a sense of
purpose and a place.
Well, I was just saying, a sense of self, a purpose, and a place directly because of Jesse Jackson's Rainbow Push Coalition.
He gave a voice to a civil rights movement that lost its voice when King was shot, and got very confused and didn't know what to do. And he stood up, and even at the risk of losing his own life a few times, took the oar and started paddling forward. And kept moving. And
I know.
Worth noting. I mean, again, I never really liked the guy that much, but I do accept that he did some great things.
Oh yeah. Well, and I read something the other day that blew my mind, and this is not BS. This is just fact. You can look it up anywhere. I think it was was it 1984 when he ran for president? He won like 12 primaries.
Yeah, he actually did really well.
I had no clue. And
scared the hell out of people at one point, right?
And won primaries in the South. So you're talking about a very loud, unapologetic black man in the 80s in the South, swaying people to vote for white.
He was a preacher, boy, when he got on that podium.
Yeah,
that's ready for the power of God to hit you.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. When I say loud, I mean no disrespect to the man, but he was not quiet. He was not. When he got going, and he pissed a lot of people off for that. But I frankly respected him for that. I like bombastic people who have something to say.
Yeah, I hope that the decision to lay him out turns around, because I really I'd rather see him honored. I think he deserves it. Just like people didn't like Jimmy Carter, and I often say Jimmy Carter was the best post-president he could be. He did everything a former president should do. He became a really amazing world leader, right?
Right.
So that's the kind of thing.
And I think if you had I mean, I know he's passed, but I think if you had a chance to sit down with Jimmy Carter, like in the last, I don't know, 20 years and have a conversation with him, he'd probably tell you, I was out over my skis being president.
Oh
Like,
yeah, he admitted it at one point. He's,
yeah,
and
like,
what I love is that he didn't let that knock him into non-existence.
right,
He took that pulpit, he went forward and found a place in building world peace and helping the world as a
right.
representative of the US. And it was a big difference. He brought a lot of things to the table people don't talk about.
It just occurred to me, what a stark contrast that we had a president who I don't think it's unfair to say he had a failed presidency. Nothing
Yeah.
against the man, but he had a failed presidency, but was humble enough to see it ride off into the sunset and do great things in the public sector. And then here we are with Donald Trump, who has a failed presidency by all metrics, a failed presidency, who has no humility. And again, to this week, I think it was on Fox News, was like, prices are down, things are great, the best economy ever. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, I understand being a politician and pushing your agenda. I get that. But saying the opposite of what is true, what I mean by
the whole push towards midterms right now is going to be sell, sell, sell the economy. Whether it's right or wrong, he's going to sell all those bullshit numbers that he thinks are true. But it's not helping. It's taking their numbers down.
No, in fact, it's making it worse. I mean, if you look at his poll numbers are worse. But that's what I'm saying. I mean, I understand if you're a politician and growth is up, I don't know, 50%, or let's say 50% of people agree with you. And the words that come out of your mouth are, a majority of people in this country agree with me. Technically, that's true. Yep. 50% 51% is technically a majority. But I understand that massaging of language to propel you, what you're trying to do forward. But to say that prices are lower than they've ever been and they're higher than they've ever been, or that inflation is gone, and it's like, no, it's 0.2% lower than it was last year. Yes, it's lower. I got to give credit where, I don't think he did anything to do it. Just like when people are like all over my Facebook feed, gas is down 20 cents a gallon. Thank you, President Trump. And it's like, folks have been saying this for years. No president has anything to do with gas prices. Gas prices are set 6 months prior with speculators. The president has no more ability to change gas prices than you and I.
These days, a little bribe money goes a long way. So
well, sorry, yes, that. But I'm talking about day to day. It's and it was like, I remember, was it under Clinton or Obama? When gas prices went up to like over $4 a gallon? This had been like 15
years ago. It was Obama
years
and
ago.
Clinton. Both of them had high gas prices.
Yeah, and they were like, all the Republicans are super rallying, saying, release the strategic oil reserve. That'll help. The strategic oil reserve, for folks who don't know, is for the military. And if you were to release it to today, literally to the general public, there'd be enough oil for 2 days. That's a fact. Look that up. Yep. So when we're saying, you release that and prices will go down, not for 2 days. No. If the strategic oil reserve was like a year's worth of oil, yeah, you could put that in the market.
Yeah. Well, we own so much control of so much oil in the world. We love to point the finger at the Arabs, but the Arabs live over it. We just own it everywhere. We go take it everywhere. We steal it.
Yeah.
So,
as with all things, go ahead. With all things Trump, every time we get a win, we get a loss. So yesterday,
it's been a week.
Yesterday, the Supreme Court struck down his tariffs and said they were illegal. And 6-3, which means that 2 of his own judges,
our Supremes, who really report to us, finally did something we expected.
Right, and 2 of his, Gorsuch and Amy Coney Barrett, went with and Roberts. But
did you see his rant and rave speech about how they just okay?
Wait, there's a step in between there. Kavanaugh, who obviously is scared to death of Trump for some weird ass reason. He's
Epstein?
got the job for life. Trump, what I'm saying, Trump can't, you can't impeach him. You can't get him out of he's not appointed. But Brett Kavanaugh did a 63-page dissent where he laid out literally a roadmap of how Trump can get around this using other statutes. So they gave us a win, and then Brett Kavanaugh's punk ass.
Which he listed off those statutes during his speech, which was hilarious.
Because Brett Kavanaugh laid it out for him. He didn't even have to think about it.
Oh my God. But listen, I can't spend. I can't raise one. He was like a child who just had his favorite toy taken away, sitting there talking to somebody saying, my mom hates me. She won't let me have my toy. And it's like, oh my God, you're so spoiled. You're such a little brat.
It's that Twilight episode where the kid who's going to send you to the cornfield.
Yes.
Like everybody's scared to tell him no. I don't, well, there's a lot of things I don't understand right now. But what I really don't understand is when the president is a little over a year into his second term, and his poll numbers are tanking, and the two things he ran on that got him over the line, which were immigration and the economy, are both where the economy's in the shitter.
They're
And
burning his presidency bad with those.
well, he did that, and then of course, killing two people in Minneapolis really fucked up. And even Republicans are starting to turn on him when it comes to immigration. They're like too heavy-handed. This is the Gestapo stuff and everything else. This would be the perfect time, folks, going into the midterms for some Republicans who are in tough districts to stand up and go, "Fuck this guy." I disagree with him. The Democrats are all aligned. We're going to put a bill in place, and we're going to pass some stuff that hamstrings him from being an authoritarian and everything else. I don't understand
He did
why
it with Bush, right? When Bush went off and did his whole Iraq thing, a lot of Republicans dissented on Bush and Cheney and said, no, I don't support him and them, right? That was a clear move, and it was a visible sign when you were breaking with the president to show you had American interests at heart.
Right. And this would be
what I do love is that JP Pritzker this morning sent a refund to the federal government for $8.68 billion.
I'm putting you on notice. I want $1,900 for every citizen of Illinois, and we will
Amazing.
Court. I'm like, dude, well, that's what you get.
It's a headline, right? It's not going to be much, but at least be smart enough to have that ready to go, to push it out there, whether you get it or not. You made a statement, right? And any other governor's going to sit there and go, wait, how did he get his number?
Well, not to mention if every blue state governor did the same thing. I mean,
we'd break my government.
But I mean, the story wouldn't go away quickly.
No.
It's
going to keep going, much like the Epstein files. And we had a win there this week. How about Prince Andrew?
I know.
Formerly the artist known as Prince Andrew.
Right. But I mean, they arrested him and then, let him go on his own recognizance.
His title.
Yeah, he's got nothing now. I mean,
it was such a busy week. I didn't know where to look. Every time you looked, something else went on. You're like, okay, wait, what?
I was like, I'm going to talk to Jim about this week. And then something else would pop up like, no, I'm going to talk about Jim this week. So but the Epstein files are not going away. More and more is coming out. I think it's very interesting and sad to my core that, they arrested Andrew, a royal family member. There's they arrested, what was it? Is Syria?
Yeah.
There's
the rest of the world's acting on this. That's what's interesting.
Right. The rest of the world's acting on this, really pardon the pun, actively acting on this. And we're, our attorney general is saying, well, the Dow's at 50,000. That's what we should talk about.
Well, the rest of the world is acting where you stand, right? Which is if you do harm to a child, you should be arrested. And I'm behind that 100%.
Oh my God.
There's been few arrests in the U.S. There's even women implicated in this, which I think we need to remember. This isn't just guys. This is a bunch of leadership. These are top people. These are people we see as setting a standard are actually in this. Elon is furiously paddling around his swamp, trying to figure out how to get out of it. They're all looking for ways to get around. The only ones who've been truthful about it have been the Clintons, who said, come on, let's do it. Let's go to court, and let's talk about it.
Right. Well, and it's you and I talked about this, and I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast, so I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but I'll be quick. We talked about that article I read that said that MAGA is post-hypocrisy. If you do something, you should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law, but if I do it, it's different. Well, all of my MAGA friends and all of my Republican friends who were, the reason Biden's not releasing the Epstein files is because it's all Democrats, and there's a cabal of rich Democrats who are pedophiles and they eat children. And remember adrenochrome, they would take babies and take the adrenochrome out of them and this, and okay, fine. Where are all of those people now? Now I know some of them are starting to turn, but it's like and this is crazy to think about. All you Looney Tunes were 100% correct. There is a cabal of rich people who were abusing children. You're just struggling with the fact that your people were at least
friends.
I'll tell you, your people were at least half of it. And I'll say this again. I'll scream it from the rooftops. I've been saying it since the Epstein files were first started being talked about. If there's a Democrat or anybody in there who harmed a child, fuck them. Put them in jail for the rest of their life.
This is a standard. This does not cover party lines. This does not cover.
This is a
right or wrong issue, which is where we like to stand.
Right, but it is on the other side. The other side is on the wrong side of history because all they want is blood from Democrats, and they want to pretend like there are no Republicans in there, or the Republicans in there. Well, they were just, you can't prosecute somebody for being at a party. You're correct. I don't want to ever be prosecuted for being at a party. But if I'm at that party and I see a murder happen, or I see, people shooting up 5-year-olds with heroin or something like that, I need to fucking say something about it, or I'm just as culpable. And so, it's like with Lutnick, I didn't know Epstein. I only had lunch with him once. Like, dude, you live next door to him.
Well, they almost got Trump this week at a point where he was just about to say, I never knew the guy.
Right.
And stopped. And it's sort of like they're baiting him so good right now about getting that out. He's going to say it. There's no way around it. It's going to be funny when it happens.
Yeah, we're going to have the you can't handle the truth moment where he just blows up because he's such a narcissist.
If there's anything right now that triggers him, it's Epstein. Because that's the one thing. Everything else he manages and muddles through.
Right.
You get on the Epstein topic, boy, you can literally see his ire rise, his hair on the back of his head, whatever's left of it go off.
Because he knows what he did. And I don't know what he did and you don't know what he did, but he knows what he did.
I don't need to know. I just need to know he gets justice.
Right. No, but I'm saying he knows what he did, and you and I don't know, but yeah, he knows that he's up to his eyeballs in this, and that's why he's scared of it, because you're right. I think he does have just enough wherewithal to know that if he gets pissed off enough, like they said yesterday when they found out it was about the Supreme Court thing, he started screaming and cussing and F this and F that, they're traitors and sedition and everything else. It's like, dude, that's their fucking job. It's right. The law.
But you have to worry about one thing with this president. He's just off his rocker enough that he could turn around and break war in his own country with the simple call out on social media. People would rise. And we'd see war. And then, he's got enough friends in the banana republics and third world countries and everywhere else that we usually don't spend a lot of effort in, that he has a place to go flee to when it all goes wrong. The statement is very clear. Fascist governments don't survive without popularity. Your popularity is not good, your government's not good. So he's not going to hang on. No. Now he's going to look for an exit strategy. So he can burn the place down before he leaves, basically, which may indeed be where he's headed.
Yeah.
And then he'll run off to Iran if he doesn't blow it up,
Right. Yeah. Well,
I don't Iran, so we're going to war with the Middle East again, Chuck. How do you feel about that?
Well, and see, you and I agree with you, but he doesn't even have to go anywhere. We talked about this. The Supreme Court handed him complete immunity for anything he does under the official guise of president. What does that mean? That's so nebulous.
Does it cover when he wasn't president, right?
Right. Well, but I'm saying, I mean, those are federal crimes. So if J.D. Vance he pardons himself, which the Supreme Court has not ruled on yet, if he pardons himself, he can go to Mar-a-Lago and people
live out his golden years in the sundown of his life.
And people will still kiss the ring, and he'll whine, and he'll call into Fox News and say how horrible it was that what was done to him. And
he'll do what he planned to do after his first term. He had planned to start a news station right on his own.
We talked about that last week. He had actually
he could do that still, which would be really funny if he caught the sundown network.
Right. Oh my God, yes. Yeah, Trump After Dark.
Oh, I love it. Oh, the ranting and raving you can take all day long.
I'm going to write that down. I'm going to actually trademark that. So in case.
Yeah, please do. Because
just look down at our list.
Then we can send it off to Keith Edwards and Stephen Colbert to play into their monologues.
Yeah, Trump After Dark. So I think it's probably this is a good time for our baggy.
Baggy Award to come out now?
I do, because my vote is for Brett Kavanaugh.
Wait, it's mine. It's mine to get.
Is it yours this time?
You get to do the happy moment. I get to do that.
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, so my last baggy award I want to give it to Speaker Johnson, because there is no greater lost baggy of whatever it is than someone who denies a historically important person the opportunity to be. That is a true lost baggy. Now you want to get to Brett Kavanaugh? We can give
no.
You're lost baggy.
No. I'm sorry. You're correct. I do the happy ending. You do the baggy. I did not mean to.
I get to be the guy who gives out.
No, Jim, I want to make this really quick. If you want to make Mike Johnson the baggy every week for the rest of our lives, I'm not going to ever.
There's always some better baggy, but this week is true.
But he is. I mean, I'll say this, and please comment, folks. That dude is evil, and what I mean by that is, to me, there's nothing more evil than presenting yourself as this uber Christian, man of God, man of the people, man of grace, man of all of this. and then consistently over and over and over again do fucking horrible things. There's nothing worse. If you're a piece of shit and you do piece of shit things, okay. I mean, at least you're consistent. But he
you get up there and
played
proselytize in the pulpit and pretend
Yeah.
you're heavy and good.
what we used to call them back home is Sunday morning Christians. You know, they're assholes 6 days a week, and then on Sunday morning butter won't melt in their mouth.
Yeah, they're only good while they're at church, because when they get to that parking lot, the asshole returns as they fight to get out.
Well, I mean, he likes to talk a good Christian game and then turn around and do things like, I don't know, gleefully strip Medicaid ACA from people who need it, not let Jesse Jackson lie in state, not bring things to the floor like the Epstein thing, like hold that up, not let that woman, not swear that woman in for almost a month, and then tell everybody, well, we're waiting for her, and she's on TV going, I've been ready for weeks, like I'm ready to do this. So he's a horrible human being.
So when we're talking about Christians, I want to talk about a good Christian. We brought him up last week. I'm going to bring him up again this week. James Tallarico, making headlines with the episode of Colbert that nobody saw, but everybody saw, right? The one that Trump clearly does not want anybody to hear for some reason, who everybody watched on YouTube by now, I'm sure. And if you haven't, we'll make sure it's linked in the description. But Tallarico is turning out to be the man who might change Texas and could change America. And the man who might make Christianity okay again because of the way he talks about it. And, he's a very progressive pastor. He is a church-going man. He talks about his faith, but he also talks about loving your neighbor and loving yourself, and how that's not being done right now. And your neighbors, your Islamic neighbor, your Black neighbor, your Latino neighbor, this country, that country. He goes very clearly into his conversation about how white nationalism is not the Christianity he's believes in, and that the line between church and state is a very stead line that you follow. The man is making waves without even having it. It's fun to watch, because this is the kind of candidate who you see that you go, you're going to go in a couple years ago, like, where did he come from? Because he's going to pop up, and next thing you know, he's going to be running things because he's smart, because he's well-spoken. And let me tell you, I could listen to Tallarico talk all day, just like Buttigieg. I could listen to both of them talk all day. They could both do a paired monologue, and I'd be happy, because it's intelligent conversation. It's easy to listen to. It's spoken with actual beliefs and not with temper, right? And so James Tallarico, if you would listen to this for some crazy reason, or one of your staffers passes this along, we love you. I love you. I'm voting for you here down in Texas. I hope you win. I definitely want to see you help put the blue wave across Texas. And I don't like to say blue, but in this case, I got to call it what it is. It's time after 30 years for Texas to flip.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny. I know we have to be very careful about this, but I would like to give a one-time zero fucks award to Stephen Colbert, because that shit, dude, I have laughed long and hard in this life of mine. I'm a very whimsical person. I enjoy a good laugh. But that one put me on the floor when he was like, our lawyers told us in no uncertain terms to not air this interview, but they told us in less uncertain terms that we shouldn't talk about it. So let's talk about it. I mean, everyone listening to this has been in this position before, where you've already given your 2 weeks notice, and you think to yourself, what are they going to do? Fire me? He's already out. What is it? I think it's April or May is when he's done. And so he's like, I mean, I'm sure he's got plenty of money put aside.
He's building his platform on YouTube real fast. He's going to keep going.
Right. But
all of these talk shows that are getting kicked out are going to go keep that happening.
Right.
It's not going away. It's just the networks lose.
But even if he doesn't, I'm sure he's got money put away. I'm sure he can ride off into the sunset and live well. But that was the greatest, fuck you, CBS. What are you going to do?
Honestly, I think we're going to see the demise of the three networks during this next few years, because they're acting actively against free speech. And that's a place where a lot of Americans will draw the line, right? Because they know how that impacts you, right? So there are networks waiting to step up. There are people waiting in leadership positions at broadcasting systems that are willing to step up and take and offer things and become more popular because of it.
Right.
So,
and what I think you're saying too is with CBS, since Ellison took over and put Barry,
another tech bro who's gone wrong.
Yeah, Barry. What is her last? Barry, the woman who's in charge now, who was a blogger, or what was she? She was I worked for somebody, but she has zero television experience. She brought that, and they brought that right-wing nut job commentator, or dude in. He's worthless, and they're losing people right and left. I think what they're trying to do is not so slowly get the actual journalists out, and they're going to fill it with MAGA folk. And I think what they're trying to do is create a second Fox News. And I think
because if you bring in non-journalists, if you bring in folks like us who are podcasters and content creators, we follow different rules, right? We weren't trained to be journalists, neither Chuck nor I. We're basically commentators and opinionators.
And the key difference is we don't pretend to be journalists.
Right.
Like, I remember when Glenn Beck was interviewed handful of years ago, and he said something about being a journalist. And then like a week later, literally, they held his feet to the fire about something. He goes, well, I'm not a journalist. It's like, wait a minute. You're a journalist when you want credibility. You're not a journalist when you backed into a corner. Like, which is it?
So it's interesting because, as I'm pivoting through my life at this point, looking at other things that happen, this content creation was probably nowhere on my radar when we started. And you are the same way. When I first reached out to you and said, hey, I want to start a podcast, and you're like, sure. And we jumped on right away. We went into this, we jumped off the deep end as deep as we could go and started. And here we are,
Right.
almost a year later going still. I don't ever say this is what I expected I'd be doing, but it's funny how this has worked its way into my CV as I go along, in my resume now, because I'm actually really proud of sort of what we're doing, for the sense that we are not journalists. We are not official political commentators. We're just two basic white guys who have a little chip on our shoulder maybe about life, who want to see good for all, not for just one. And we're here saying that. And so, if you're here for those same reasons, then you understand. But
well, no, I'm laughing when you said you were proud of this, because I am fucking proud of this. Like, I tell people, like, I have a podcast, like, what? And my partner and I, he's in Dallas. We started as a travel podcast, and we realized that, after Trump took over, we were like, yeah, we got more to say. And yeah, I'm incredibly proud of what we do. I think we're doing it the right way. You and I talked about this, and it's so funny. For those of you who don't know, Jim and I have literally been in proximity together 5 days. We met 2 Januaries ago at a training for our franchises, our travel franchises, and we just hit it off. And every other contact we've had has been on the phone, FaceTime, or this. But
we're in sync somehow.
But we were separated at birth or something, because
our cycles are in sync.
Well, it's like when we started talking about this, and the one we had like probably a 5-minute conversation, honestly, about how we wanted to proceed, and neither one of us wanted to be, the right or the left side of, screaming at the other side, and more importantly, not seeing that both sides suck sometimes, and that both sides do good things sometimes, and we're willing to call that out. And I'll say this, I said this the other day to a friend. He's like, you talk about Trump and the Republicans a lot. And I said, yeah, because trust
it's easy to get.
Well, but I was saying, trust and believe. If the Democrats had the presidency, the House, the Senate, and the Supreme Court, we'd be hammering them too. I said, but picking on Democrats right now is like picking on the smallest kid in the playground. It might be fun, but what's the point? They don't have any power, and any power they derive right now is simply because some Republicans open their eyes and they're like, no, on this one, I'm siding with you. But if the Republicans stayed true, if they stayed in lockstep on everything, the Democrats literally have zero power right now. So, yeah, we'll beat them up a little bit as it goes along, but there's really nothing to talk about, because anything going wrong in the government right now is clearly on the shoulders of Republicans. And right-wingers who say that it's the Democrats' fault, I just look at them and laugh. Like, really? It's their fault?
It was their fault when they were in power. It's their fault when they're out of power. Republicans sing one thing, and it's always not us.
Right.
And I was a Republican. I admit it. In 1984, my first election, I voted for Reagan. I was a Reagan Republican, which these days feels a little bit like a liberal or a progressive, which maybe he was at the time. But, I grew up in a Republican family who, interestingly enough, historically voted all Democrat. And somewhere along the lines, my parents' generation changed, and across the board, every one of them, all across the family. The new generation, we're all back to singing this new tune at more liberal, more progressive stance. So sometimes the funniest comments I get about our podcast are actually from extended, I'm talking like 7, 8 levels out family who's saying, wow, we really believe the same thing. And I'm like, of course we do. It's in our blood, right? There's something there.
Right. Well, it's funny. My family was the opposite. My grandfather was a hardcore Democrat when his oldest son went Republican. I think he almost thought about disowning him for a while. But my mother and father were hardcore progressives my entire childhood. My parents owned a construction company, and my dad would they would donate to Democratic causes and Democratic. Remember in 85 or 86, when Gerald Baliles won the governor of Virginia, my parents had donated enough that we were actually invited to the inauguration. Well, with 5,000 other people, but we were, or however many we were. Yeah. So I've grown up progressive. Uh, I'm aware enough and have enough political depth to look at the Democratic Party when they're doing dumb shit and call it out. But I thought Obama was a great president, but I did not like everything he did. I thought Clinton prior to Trump, and there's a reason I'm saying this. I had really two criteria for what I considered a successful presidency. Now I know there's a lot more to this and there's a lot more nuance, but my two main things was the economy growing and were we kept out of wars. And those were the two big things when I was a young man that to me was, so Bill Clinton, for example, and I know somebody's going to say, what was it? Molly or whatever, but whatever. I'm talking about wars. Like Bill Clinton grew the economy and, his policies grew the economy and he kept us out of wars. Obama took one of the worst recessions since the Great Depression, got us out of that in 8 years, and there were no major wars. And then you look at like at George W. Bush, and George W. Bush tanked the economy and left Obama with with nothing, and got us into two unwinnable, almost forever wars. But now with Donald Trump, I'm sorry, but the baseline's got to be a lot higher because I don't think anybody expected a president to completely piss on the norms and the rules of law and talk about the media being the enemy of the people and like yesterday. I mean, how was that? How is any American not embarrassed that Donald Trump got handed a loss by the Supreme Court, an honest loss, and then went on and called them traitors and just horrible. And you're right. He was like a petulant child who'd been told no.
Any other president had done that, the media would have panned him and packaged him up and put him away. I mean, it would have been done.
Their own party would have done it. Can you imagine if Barack Obama had gotten up there and did something like that? Oh my God, the Democratic Party would be like, we don't know who the hell you are. Who's this guy? Like they would, but instead, MAGA Republicans are just, doubling down and going, well, the Supreme Court should have done the right thing.
This is one of those mystical things. You say, what is going on? What power does the man have? What do they see when they look at him? What trance does he put them under that they are willing to walk the plank into the fiery roads, whatever it takes to make him happy? Like it's the part that probably makes me struggle the most because I feel like most humans have a pretty decent sense of right and wrong. Most. But are they all in the government, the ones who don't? Are all the ones who are willing to hand over their children for their own benefit in the government? Because there's just something goes on that people are following someone who would literally take them into war, take them to their deaths to make them happy versus standing against the voice.
Well, I think you said something interesting. And I made a comment a handful of years ago to a friend of mine, and with very few exceptions, it is almost impossible to get to the House or the Senate or the White House anymore without selling your soul to a bunch of corporations and entities because you got to have the money to get there. We're one of the few countries in the world that allow special interests and all of that to, most countries have a fund and you dip from that fund and that's what you use to everything else. But once Citizens United,
it used to be our way too.
I know. But once Citizens United hit and they said, oh, and then you've got Elon Musk. What other time in history? And I mean this, folks. Listen to my words for a moment.
He built a pact to put President Trump into place.
No, what other time in history would a single rich person drop $250 million on well, first of all, own the arguably the biggest, most popular social media platform on the planet, or at least at that point, and own that and
led the future of electric vehicles.
Well, that to quiet dissent on Twitter or X or what the hell it's called, and then spend $250 million of his own money trying to get Donald Trump elected, and then giving out $1 million checks at his things, which are clearly against campaign finance laws. But we're at that point where he's never going to be prosecuted by it because Trump's certainly not going to do it. But if Trump had lost and the Republicans had kept the House or the Senate or both, they weren't going to prosecute. And
the good thing is his businesses are going to pay the price, right? So
he just got a $1 trillion payout, really. I mean, that's unfortunately, and we've talked about this. If anybody doesn't see this, then I got no hope for you. The biggest number one problem in our world right now is billionaires. with too much power and affecting government and everything else. That's it. I don't care what anybody says. Those are the ones that are, pushing anti-union, trying to keep the minimum wage down, all this. They are taking money out of our pocket and power out of our voice so that they can have more and more and more and more. And that's all it is. I mean, why else would, like, Larry Ellison and his son, I can't remember his son's name. Larry Ellison's like the third richest man in the world, not the country, the world. But I'm going to buy CBS so that I can, I can make it more right wing.
Who's going to be the first trillionaire?
Right, but to what end? So you don't think U.S. policy is favorable enough to big business? I mean, are you afraid you're going to get a progressive president who's going to raise your corporate income taxes 5%? So instead of making, $40 billion this year, you make 35? I don't understand what it is it's capitalism run amok, and it's the worst parts of capitalism are, and I am not against capitalism. I can't remember who said it, but somebody said capitalism is a horrible, but is it the best of the worst, I think is how they put it.
So I'm going to read you these 4 names, and I want you to guess what I asked AI. Elon Musk, Larry Page, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg. What do you think I asked AI to get those 4 names? I know there's a lot of answers there.
Yeah, no. Richest people.
I asked it who would be the first trillionaire, and it said Musk.
Okay.
Because that's the next title of the conquest, right? You made billionaire, now you get the trillionaire, right? I mean, it's like, and they say, so Gemini, my choice of AI, part of the Google establishment, right? Whether you like it or not, I prefer, says it'll be Elon Musk.
Okay.
So,
but that's a give me because he just got a $1 trillion payout. But I know.
It's just based on numbers, right? It's based on what it. I think what I find. There's a couple YouTube channels that do strictly what AI predicts, and they're interesting to watch, right? Because it said, like, the one I saw yesterday was, who would be the first who would you vote for in a third term, Trump or Obama? Now that feels like a baited question, but AI doesn't necessarily have anything of the data to work on. And the guy who runs the station does a really good job of making sure the AI is told no bias, no this. He gives it all the rooms not to. So they're fun to watch, just from the sense. You watch the AI produce its answer. He does the whole short form, long form, show you your information, kind of like professors would do when you were in college, right? Show me how you got there. And if you haven't played with AI, that's a place to play, right? Go ask AI a question you want to know the probability of an answer to. It's fun. It's a place to mix around and see what's going on. So yeah, that was my question. I just thought you'd find that interesting.
No, that is interesting. Well, and of all of those, Elon Musk is the one that pisses me off the most. The reason I say that is,
Bezos is a good close second.
Well, no, the reason I say that is earned is what I mean. So I don't know if you know the backstory to Amazon. Amazon was going to be, it was a bookseller, if you remember, in the very beginning. And I don't know if you know this story, and I'm going to get some of this wrong, but I heard this a long time ago, but I'm close. Bezos basically went to a bunch of bankers, investors, and said, I'm starting this company. I want you to invest. You're not going to make a dime for 5 years. We're going to lose money for 5 years. But then once it takes off, which it will, you're all going to be rich. And I thought,
I'm going to kill it.
I thought, balls of that. And evidently he was passionate enough or whatever that they invested. And of course, all the people who invested in him in the beginning are filthy rich now. If they have early stock in Amazon.
It's become the formula for the billionaire, right? I mean, so it's sort of what Trump does now too.
One thing, he did that. Mark Zuckerberg created something, and we can talk about whether Facebook's good or bad or whatever, but he created that. Ellison created Oracle. I mean, and created a product that's used all over. The company I work for, I use Oracle every freaking day. I use NetSuite. Elon Musk has never created a thing.
Drama.
Not a thing. Well, no, he and some buddies made a program that was sort of like PayPal's.
That was the only thing he actually really ever created with somebody, was that.
Right, but it wasn't that great, but it was good enough that Thiel was like, I'll just buy it. He took that money and bought Tesla, which was the two guys, I can't remember their names, the engineers that already created it. The only thing he has ever created at Tesla was the truck, which is a horrible piece of shit, and all of them were recalled. Anyway,
they're all going to be sent to Mars, you know that,
right? But then with SpaceX, I mean, he got one of the world's foremost rocket guys and put the Tesla money into it, but it's all government contracts. So Tesla has never made a penny. Like, the reason Elon Musk shit his pants after he said that Trump was in the Epstein files which he was correct. But when Trump said, well, maybe we'll take away the green energy subsidy, that's why Elon Musk got quiet and shit his pants, because what most people don't realize is the only reason Tesla makes any money is because they sell their green energy options to other companies. They've never been in the black. Like if those were gone, Tesla would shut down in no time because it costs more to create
So
than
SpaceX. I mean, they'd both fail.
Exactly. So Elon Musk is the one that drives me the craziest because he's never actually created anything. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg, I have no respect for him whatsoever, but he wrote the algorithm. He created the website. Listen, created software. Yeah. Elon Musk has never done anything, and he's the richest man, never created anything. He's the richest man in the world. And I'm sick of the cult of Elon too, where people are like, Elon's a genius. I'm like, no, he's not. No, he's not. He's a genius at buying companies that already exist.
And using mushrooms and all these other things. But anyways, that's a whole nother topic. And Chuck, I think it's time for you to do.
And now it's time for your happy ending. Jim, this one's going to be controversial to some, but I don't care. So I don't know if you've been watching the Olympics. Well, I work for a sports company and we have it on all day. I mean, we don't sit and watch it, but like we glance at it and it would, so Brittany, Bowe and Hilary Knight are taking the next step in their relationship, and it's happening as they compete in their second Olympics as a couple. On Wednesday, February 18th, Knight, the 36-year-old captain of Team USA's hockey team, which won gold, proposed to her girlfriend, whom she fell in love with while competing in the 2022 Beijing Olympics. In a post shared on Instagram, the hockey star commemorated the moment she got down on one knee to ask Bowe, a 37-year-old speed skater who also won gold, to marry her. The post included a clip of Knight presenting a ring box to Bowe, who appeared gleefully surprised. In the photo, the Olympian couple posed together with the skaters showing off her new jewelry. Quote, Olympics brought us together, Knight captioned the post, adding, this one made us forever. And while some may be upset by that, I love it. I think it's fantastic. If in this Trump world that we live in, I think that is more indicative of the United States right now than any bullshit that Trump is spewing.
And I'll tell you what, to our listeners, just because we rant and rave here about things going on, don't forget to look under the covers at the good things happening. Because there's a lot of good still happening in the world and in our country that is worth knowing. That's why we do the happy moment. We want to leave you in a positive space. So with that, I'm Jim Houck, co-host of the amazing Life in the Baggage Claim, and
I'm Chuck Longerbeam, who also is here.
Who's also here. Holding time and space, Chuck. As always, Chuck, great week. Boy, I'll tell you, this is going to be fun to watch. As we roll towards midterms, which are still a little ways out, it's going to be fun for us to see where we catch our attention, because as usual, we're pretty much in sync. Like we come here, neither of us have an agenda that we've shared. We come here and we both can just go like, that's what we're going to talk about. So here we are. It's episode 7. This one's in the bag. Thanks everybody for being here and tuning into us. We love you. We appreciate you. Subscribe.
Thank you, folks. Have a great week.